In Georgia, ongoing protests are happening in response to the government's decision to delay European Union accession talks until 2028. This decision, announced by the Prime Minister and the ruling Georgian Dream Party, has sparked accusations of authoritarianism and a shift towards Russia. Georgian UFC champion Ilia Topuria says, "My unequivocal support to all protestants who defend our rights and ambitions. I am opposed to the decision to terminate our accession negotiations to the European Union. I'm ashamed to see how the children of Georgia are being treated. This is not called freedom. We want to provide a better future for our country. It's imperative that we continue our path into European integration, as it is a future of opportunity to progress for all citizens. We must fight together for a democratic and free Georgia." Demonstrators, many waving EU flags, have taken to the streets, clashing with police who have used tear gas, water cannons, and rubber bullets to disperse them. Over 100 protesters and dozens of police officers have been injured, with arrests reported. The protests have highlighted deep divisions in Georgia, where a significant portion of the population supports closer ties with the EU, but the government has faced criticism for democratic backsliding, election irregularities, and perceived alignment with Russian interests. Ian Garry says both Colby Covington and Usman turned down fighting him on December 14th. Garry took the Shavkat Rakhmonov fight on December 10th. Colby Covington took the December 14th fight against Joaquin Buckley, and currently Usman is on the sidelines. He doesn't have a fight scheduled. Dakota Ditcheva says she is locked in a contract with the PFL. She's definitely fighting for them next year, maybe in the season format or maybe super fights, but no transfer to the UFC anytime soon. Hamid Makaya says he won't be delivering food on December 13th when he fights at Brave 91 in Bahrain. But the next day, he's back to work at Uber Eats delivering food. Cyril Gane says he wanted to fight Tom Aspinall in March of this year, but Aspinall turned down the fight. Most people remember Aspinall wanting to fight Gane in July and Gane not taking the fight because he was shooting that Netflix show. On rematches, Volkov this Saturday on the main card, UFC 310. If he wins, maybe he'll fight Aspinall next if John Jones doesn't.
Is fighting this week on the UFC 310, and we just did one of his final session in the hypoxic altitude training chamber here at the UFC Performance Institute. He was using his breathing technique, trying to build tolerance to hypoxia at different altitudes, and he was doing this fantastic.
Steve Garcia versus Edson Barboza, February 22 in Seattle, Washington, will be an interesting stand-up fight. Garcia has 5 knockout victories in a row. Also on the card, a middleweight contest between Brendan Allen and Anthony Hernandez. That's going to be an interesting one, as is Kutalaba versus Aslan in the light heavyweight division. Someone will get stopped in that one. Rukia Ampo scheduled to take on Ryan Garcia on December 31st. He has a punching bag with Ryan Garcia's face on it.
Ryan Garcia, I'm clamping you down.
Ampo sparred Sean Strickland earlier this year. Strickland was very complimentary. "You're a savage, great rounds. Come to Vegas." They originally sparred in Japan. Kai Kara France wants the winner of Saturday's main event, whether it's Kai Asakura who wins or Pantoja.
I feel like I can definitely knock out Kai or Pantoja. So that's why I'll be tuning in. Let's say now, if Pantoja wins, let's fight New Zealand. I'll headline it, me and him, for the title, in front of my people.
Kai Kara France is ranked number 4. Ahead of him are Albazi Moreno and Roy Val. Pantoja has fought Kai and both Brendans multiple times. Riyadh season stacked the February 22nd card. Beterbiev versus Bivol main event. Also on the card, Daniel Dubois versus Joseph Parker. Shakur Stevenson versus Floyd Schofield. Also 4 more title fights, including Virgil Ortiz Jr. versus Israel Madrimov. Buatsi versus Callum Smith. Zayli Zhang versus Kabayel. World MMA Awards happening at the theater at the Virgin Hotels in Las Vegas on Thursday. It's going to be hosted by Chael Sonnen. You can watch it live on ESPN Plus, 8 p.m. Pacific time on Thursday. Temba Garimbo expects to get a stoppage in this fight with Luque on Saturday. I don't know how I'm going to finish Luque, but my guts tell me I'm going to finish him on the 7th of December. It's my time. I'm free to do anything in this fight, and when I'm free and happy, I'm a very dangerous man. Luque got stopped in his last fight against Buckley. The Diaz fight was not meant to be. Now he takes on Garimbo. Garimbo's won 5 in a row, coming off a win over Nico Price a month and a half ago. It was a very one-sided, unanimous decision. Raul Rosas Jr. has a Chihuahuas Western Burger coming soon to Carl's Jr. He used to work for Carl's Jr. Now he's sponsored by them. From working at Carl's Jr. to having my own burger and being sponsored by them. BKSC press conference Tuesday in Philadelphia. Redneck Brawl, Rednecks Get Wild, taking place December 14th in Cincinnati, Ohio.
December 14th. I fought on the very first one, got a first round finish. I'm planning on doing the exact same thing. Come out, it's going to be a Bay Area combat sports extravaganza.
6'5" welterweight Josh McElhenney signs with Sucker Punch Management. He was a 2-time All-American wrestler. This podcast saying Tim Kennedy's book is a book of lies, scars and stripes, an unapologetically American story of fighting the Taliban, UFC warriors, and myself. They had like a 3-hour discussion, so Kennedy feels the need to respond.
Tomorrow, I'm going to be releasing a video in response to a podcast that came out last week, right before Thanksgiving. In this 3-hour-long podcast, they attack me, accusations of pretty much being a liar my entire life, and stolen valor for me, and they just go on and on and on. So I'm not going to address everything in a 3-hour-long podcast, but this same podcast went after Marcus Luttrell, went after Jocko Willink. Marcus Luttrell, the lone survivor, the guy that took all the proceeds from his book and donated them to veteran nonprofits. That like amazing Texan and American. This podcast also reached out to all of my teammates and asked them to come on the podcast. None of them would, because they wanted them to talk smack about me and they didn't have anything to say, but they called me to give me a heads up. So one of the greatest things about this Thanksgiving that I'm so thankful for is I got to learn who all of my friends are. And I have a bunch of wonderful, amazing friends. To all of you that reached out to me, thank you. I love you guys. Like, you know me, you know my character, you know my history. And that's like the best part. These guys on this podcast, I've never met. They don't know any of my friends. They don't know any of my teammates. Everything else was just them trying to make a name and commercialize their podcast. So that video will come out tomorrow. Stay safe, stay free. Thanks for your patience. I was doing the holiday thing with my family.